This is Seymour Rocks reporting from Down Under. Uh, I've been offline for a few days, 3 or 4 days, as far as Facebook is concerned, so I haven't been able to bring climate-related things to report on them. So I'm finally able to do that now that I've got everything moving again. And what I'm about to present are just 2 days worth of headlines that I've taken off Facebook. Um, and I can tell you folks, this is very, very hard for me to deliver. So let's just start. So weather chaos and climate disaster around the world. So first of all, we have France, Germany, Poland and the Czech Republic set June heat wave records. The worst is still to come. This is from the Washington Post, reprinted. And I'll just read what they say. A ferocious heat wave has overtaken parts of Europe. It has already set a number of records and there are several days of extreme heat to go. As the heat wave escalates towards its peak late this week, temperatures have already neared or surpassed 37.8 degrees Celsius in parts of France, Germany, Poland and Spain. Even Switzerland has locations which have reached past the 30 degrees Celsius mark. In fact, actually, here we are. The authorities raised alerts on Wednesday as the heat wave threatened to intensify with temperatures heading into the 40s degrees Celsius. Well, I think that actually, if we have a look, that's already happened. The choking heat has already promoted traffic restrictions, sparked forest fires and fanned debate over public nudity in Germany as sweltering temperatures citizens stripped off. While records will continue to be broken in the days ahead, a number of historic marks have already been set as the heat wave cranks up. And from Strange Sounds, hell is coming, potentially historic and deadly heat wave to roast Europe from Wednesday through Friday. And European heat wave 2019, 3 swimmers die on beaches in France as Saharan bubble heat sweeps towards the UK. And these are some of the temperatures. I think this is from today. You can see, the UK not so bad, but look at France and Germany and Central Europe. And these are the real hot spots here, I think. So here we are. Yeah, the first over 40 degrees Celsius threshold is Clermont-Ferrand in central France today. 40.6 degrees Celsius at 5 p.m. And then this says a lot. Blazing heat wave forces Germany to limit autobahn speeds. So for anyone who knows anything about Germany, that is absolutely huge. And then alert is issued in France as intense heat wave envelops Europe. So more than half of France, including around Paris, was placed on an orange alert for intense heat today, the second highest level on the scale, as very hot temperatures were predicted across continental Europe this week. The National Weather Agency, Meteo France, said the heat wave beginning today is expected to last all week with temperatures of up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit across the country, just as summer tourist season shifts into high gear. Well, it's only late June, the peak tourist season, and when all the Parisians take off for holiday is in over a month's time, in August. In Paris, charity organisations were patrolling the streets to provide water to homeless people, and local authorities organised air-conditioned places where the public can seek shelter. French Education Minister Jean-Michel Blanquer decided it was too hot to study and ordered national exams by students heading to high school postponed from Thursday and Friday to next week. And then in Switzerland, rare severe danger alert is issued. So they issued a rare level 4 severe danger heat alert for parts of the country with temperatures over 30 degrees Celsius. But the real heat will arrive after Monday, with Meteo Suisse forecasting maximums of 33 to 37 degrees from Tuesday through to Thursday. So that's sort of now, isn't it? And then Britain, Sahara bubble storm brings a week's worth of rain in 1 hour, but 35 degrees scorcher is on the way. So that is what climate chaos looks like. A week's worth of rain in 1 hour, followed by a devastating heat wave. And then Britain faces invasion of Asian hornets that kill humans with one sting. Now, we go across the United States, and I put this article because it says what nobody else in the mainstream will say. National emergency as US farm crops fail. Food shortages by late July, food riots thereafter. Well, that's it might be slightly melodramatic, but I don't think by very much. So I think this is largely pretty accurate. Collapse of the US farming production system is in full swing, and food shortages will begin hitting Americans by July, others in the rest of the world by August. If you have failed to heed this website's advice to prep, then you may well go hungry. This is a crisis the likes of which we have never seen before in this country or on the globe. Here's the stark truth about what our nation now faces, and I really recommend that article. It's written by Michael Snyder of Economic Collapse blog. And this is the mainstream media. Local farmers have never seen it this bad. Wet weather leads to historically late planting season. And I think somewhere there's a video that goes with this. It's not quite in sync with this. So I won't read this. And then meanwhile, in Alaska, record high Sunday, warm temperatures continue. So Anchorage saw record high temperatures on Sunday, hitting 77 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the very high 20s in Celsius. The previous record for June 23rd was 75 degrees in 1974. The last time the official temperature in Anchorage hit 76 degrees was the 7th of July 2018, last year. Europe is cooking. Alert as a deadly heat wave has spread across continental Europe, with temperatures hitting above 40 degrees Celsius. And this is from the Big Wobble, who I think is very good at reporting these things. Europe is cooking. And here goes a thing representing the temperatures. Now, for some reason, that picture is of Europe, but the actual text is Met Office says Jamaica recorded its highest temperatures ever on Saturday. Highest temperatures ever on Saturday, reaching 39.1 degrees Celsius or 102 degrees Fahrenheit. And then flood damage of at least $2 billion for Mississippi River towns. Look at that. Repairs and cleanup following the prolonged flooding along the Mississippi River will cost more than $2 billion, an advocacy group for river communities said on Tuesday. Heavier than normal snow melt in the late winter and frequent and heavy rains through the spring led to the flooding that approached record levels in several towns from Iowa to Louisiana. Equally troubling has been how long the high water has stuck around. Even now, the river remains well above flood stage throughout much of the Mississippi River corridor. And then, of course, this is what the markets say. Soybeans may be the next market to surge as rain drags on. So there's a shortage of soybeans or a perceived future shortage, and so the prices go up and they're delighted. Beneath that, they say, with fields still flooded, keeping farmers from seeding and threatening yields, oilseed plantings are under threat and hedge funds are backing away from their bearish wagers. And that tells probably more than the actual text. Now this is a video I'm going to play, a couple of minutes long.
Planting season for corn on record, and that's forcing many farmers to make a tough choice this morning. Keely Arthur joins us live from an Evansville farm to explain. Hi, Keely.
Good morning. Yes, we are dealing with a historically late planting season because of the wet weather. Farmers either planted really late or not at all. And I want you to take a look at this. Now, this is soybean crop. I'm being told that by this time this year, it should be at my knee, and we are not seeing that at all. Obviously, very far from that. I have here with me expert with the UW Extension, Nick Baker, to talk about this really late planting season. Nick, it's soybeans, it's corn. How are farmers dealing with it?
You know, farmers are just coping the best they can with this weather we've had. Like you said, typically in an average year, we'd see everything planted by early May at the latest, mid-May. Right now, today is the last day for corn for insurance purposes, and really June 10th was when farmers wanted to have corn in at the latest. Soybeans too, we've got a little time on soybeans, but every day right now we don't have things planted. Farmers are losing yield potential, and that means it hurts their bottom dollar. Farmers really need to get crops in right now.
And farmers always have to deal with weather, a whole slew of other variables, but this year has been extremely difficult. You said that there's some farmers that have had to turn to this prevent plant option that have never had to before.
Right. Prevent plants is an option in crop insurance where if you cannot get your crops planted by a certain deadline for corn and soybeans, you actually get paid by the insurance company not to plant because the risk becomes so high, the loss of yield and loss of potential profitability. I know my own family has never taken prevent plant before. I had to take 130 acres of prevent planted corn just because the conditions were too wet. And historically bad. We've got charts at the university that show growing seasons, and we've never seen one this wet, this late, this cold, and this delayed. So it's just a really tough year for farmers to get things planted.
All right, well, we appreciate you explaining all that. Nick Baker with the UW Extension, and maybe some hope in heading.
Maybe some hope, yeah, that's always hope. Meanwhile, summer storm drops nearly 2 feet of snow. Colorado Steamboat Resort. This is the beginning of summer. So this will lead some people to believe that we're heading into an ice age. Brazil's Roraima, I can't know how to pronounce that state, at the mercy of 2019 wildfires as federal funds dry up. So they recorded 17,913 blazes nationwide, with 11,804 occurring in the 9 Amazonian states, the Amazonian states. Only 2016 saw more harm in the Brazilian Amazon, where 13,663 wildfires burned over the same period. And meanwhile, the Everglades are on fire. Isn't it? Anyway, I always thought that the Everglades were wet, so how can they burn? But a massive wildfire has consumed more than 17,000 acres of the Everglades in less than 24 hours, the Florida Forest Service told Vice News. Officials believe lightning started the blaze on Sunday evening in west central Broward County. Since then, the flames spread quickly as of 4 p.m. on Monday afternoon. An area of 17,000 acres was burning and had been 0% contained. And tragedy down under, Australia's dairy farmers issue warning as mass exodus continues. Fifth-generation dairy farmer Jason Smith is used to the early starts and late nights, the freezing fingers, the sick animals, and constant threat of being covered in cow dung, but nothing prepared him for just how tough it was to stay afloat in the embattled dairy industry. And then now we've got volcanic activity. I'm just going around the edges here. The Raikoke volcano, that's in the Kuril Islands in Russia. And they've got the first photographs of the eruption from the ground. So there it is. And my friend Margot has been reporting on this quite widely. And she talks about the spread of sulfur dioxide. So maybe we've got a negative feedback loop there, but I don't think that it's going to overcome the incredible positive feedbacks. And then down in New Zealand, we've also got volcanic activity. Volcanic alert raised at White Island. And meanwhile, I think in the centre of the North Island, I think I was just told that a woman heard rumbling, and then she went outside to find that she had a new geyser in her backyard. So there's a lot of stuff happening there. And then we've jumped back to Brazil. Business as usual threatens thousands of Amazon tree species. Climate change and deforestation could also severely fragment much of the forest by 2050. That magic 2050. Just a short time ago, it was 2100. Now it's 2050. And then this is tragic. Giraffes just silently went to the list of endangered animals facing extinction. Giraffes had been widely overlooked in conservation practices for a little too long. They just made their entry onto the red list of endangered species. And meanwhile, in Australia, it's been revealed that the koalas are functionally extinct, which means that they won't recover their populations. And weather apocalypse. A city in Russia was struck by a strong downpour. This is Ulyanovsk, where the Russian leader Lenin was born. And residents were in a panic. It seemed that there were no signs and the sky was cloudless, say residents of the city. Now, I'll just show you a few seconds from this. Okay. And then in the Arctic, melting of the Arctic ice is releasing hazardous toxins into the atmosphere. A recent report revealed that thawing permafrost at the Arctic is releasing toxins, ancient diseases, nuclear waste, and carbon dioxide that will double the amount of greenhouse gases already in the atmosphere. And this is not exactly news, but Arctic permafrost is now melting at levels not expected until 2090. So that's 3 generations early. How did they get that one so wrong? And this is underreported. Arctic ice, sea ice plus Siberian fires on the 24th of June. Siberia News has reported on this in a couple of publications, but that's about all. And look, these are the fires. And this is almost a summing up. The Trump administration has reportedly buried reports warning that climate change will harm crops and cause health problems. Always, of course, in the future tense. They've never heard of the present tense. And, of course, under previous administrations, we always had non-action and we had pipelines. Under Trump, we have the same, except it's all on steroids, just as things are turning to custard. So the Trump administration has buried dozens of studies by the US Department of Agriculture assessing the effects of climate change. The studies are said to assess the impact of rising temperatures, increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and volatile weather on agriculture. The intent is to try and suppress a message, in this case, the leading danger of human-caused climate change, says Michael Mann. The Trump administration may move to prevent National Climate Assessment from describing its report's worst. Anyway, that doesn't make much sense. And then I just finish off with the absolute insanity. Of course, none of this will be reported in the New Zealand media, but they do report on this. New Zealand's most fertile land is being dug up for housing. Over the past decade, more than 200 produce growers in Auckland have closed up shop as more rural land has been rezoned to residential to keep up with the demand for housing. Well, ain't that just wonderful? Just as agriculture everywhere in the world is collapsing. So, on that note, I think that's more than enough for me, and it's more than enough for you. So this is Seymour Rocks reporting from Down Under.